All right, folks.
Here we go.
Episode 5.
This is 5 already.
Already?
Yeah.
I feel like our people out in Dallas, Texas have been waiting for...
Dallas is starving for podcast material.
It's been a whole week. Why don't you let the people know, since you're at the computer, what you're talking about? We've been looking into our statistics.
So you got to explain Anchor here, because I have no idea what Anchor is.
Right.
So you're the guy.
So Anchor is essentially just the host of the podcast, right? It has the feed, and then the feed from Anchor goes to all the, the Spotifys, the iTunes. Get it anywhere where you listen to your favorite podcast, people.
Okay. So Anchor is the one that gets it to those places.
That is the feed.
Right.
So everything branches from Anchor.
So we're looking at the back end of Anchor, right?
Yeah.
Okay. For the Chooping It Up podcast here. So we have 109 all-time plays.
We're startup here.
An estimated audience of 20 based on recent episodes. 11 unique listeners in the last 7 days.
Oh, that's
since
the last 7
our last,
days? Okay.
Yeah, since our last, okay. So our podcast performance plays we just talked about, top episodes, the Sean Botman Show.
Of course.
Who doesn't love Sean Botman?
Great guy.
Okay.
He didn't even listen to it himself.
No. And we know that because this next piece
all right.
is what really has my mind blown. I'm not lying when I say the first geographic location breakdown is by planet. So 100% of our plays and our listens and our audience is on Earth.
It's kind of disappointing.
It is kind of disappointing. I was hoping that there'd be somebody out on Jupiter or Mars or something, especially with the activity going on in Mars.
Listen, we got SpaceX, so we got a shot.
We got 1 year, our first anniversary. We need at least 2 listeners on Mars.
We need to tag Elon, be like, listen,
if
you're going up to Mars, if you're going to ride SpaceX, one of the requirements is you have to listen to this podcast.
Right. So you break down Earth, you dig down a little deeper, right? 96% of our listeners are here in the old United States of America, right? We are international.
We are.
We are a young international podcast. Germany, Ireland, and Singapore, right? A couple listens in each of those nations there. So you break down the United States, and 38% of our listeners are in Texas.
What you think? And that is the highest percentage, correct?
Highest percentage, because Pennsylvania is second with 30%. A third of our listeners
aren't even local.
Are our loyal people here in Pennsylvania. Unbelievable.
You need to do better, Pennsylvania.
We got New Jersey, we got Washington, Ohio, California, Oregon, New York, Florida. We're spread all over the map right now a little bit, but we're concentrated in Texas.
We're at in Texas.
So let's break down Texas. As you said, 87% of Texas is in Dallas.
You heard it here first, folks. We are Jerry Jones's favorite podcast. 100%.
The staff at Cowboy Stadium is listening. It could be Mark Cuban with the Mavericks.
Could be. He's playing it in the building.
It's the IU connection, exactly.
They're working out after a game. They're listening to this.
Right. It's the IU connection.
This is crazy.
Makes sense. Now it makes sense.
Finally, sense. He remembers.
We got El Paso and Fort Hood in Texas. So when we break it back down, we'll come out with hold on, we went back to the United States too far. Pennsylvania. 46% of our followers in Philadelphia. It's definitely Jack Kelly.
Well, yeah, and I mean it's because also you're right, Jack, but they know we have an Eagles fan, loyally diehard Eagles fan
He does make routine visits to Philadelphia.
That is true.
So he's got to follow
via the turnpike.
His Easy Pass is burning up. We got some listeners in Milton. 15% are here in Scranton. Okay.
Shout out Scranton.
Yeah, 7% Clark Summit, 7% Moscow. Yeah. Moscow has to be Coach Bohr and Coach Kaz.
Got to be.
Up there in North Pocono country.
Which I don't, but then again, I don't know because Bohr said he never actually watched any of our post-game shows, so I don't know if he's listening to our podcast.
He's not. He's not staying awake during a podcast.
It's helping him fall asleep, maybe.
Yeah. He's probably, if he's listening now this far into the show, he's already sleeping. So we can say what we ever want about Bohr. But
I was I was happy that I could show you the back end.
92% are male, 2% females, 6% not specified. Okay. Our age range, we're in the 35 to 44-year-old demographic. It's right in my wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm. They're all your friends.
28 to 34, that's you guys.
Yeah.
Tanner's a little below that, right? He's probably about, what, 26 now, maybe?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
We'll ask him later. I'll forget.
Yeah. 26, I think. I think that's a...
We got 2% that are 60 plus.
How old's Mark Cuban?
Nah, not that old. He's the
50?
45 to 59 demographic, I'd say.
Yeah.
That's 2% of our listeners. So, what are the odds? We always kind of come back to the betting circle, right? 60-year-old, 60-plus-year-old. Is it male or female? Right? So, the 60-plus female from Singapore. Make up that number. What do you think?
Are you asking me if I think that the 60...
the 60 plus, right?
Where are they from?
Is it male or female?
I'm going to go with the odds.
You're
seeing
going
as
to
how
go
most
92% are male?
Yeah, I'm going to go with the male.
See, I was going the other way. I just want to see the scratch and all those small percentages.
You think it's a 60-year-old woman from Singapore?
It could be. I'm just throwing out.
Okay.
I'm just throwing out.
That is a possibility based on our analytics that we're looking at right now. Yes.
Right. Or we have a 60-year-old male. A 60-year-old male. Let's go back. Columbus, Ohio State country. Wow. Okay. Washington, Seattle. That could be. I think Tanner has an aunt out there in Seattle, so maybe she listened once.
Could be Russell Wilson as well. We don't know.
Clifton, New Jersey.
Okay. I mean,
L.A. We've hit Hollywood.
I think we need to take a trip out there.
Yeah.
They don't even know what's coming. Once we
Boardman, Oregon, no idea where that is.
No.
New York, Mount Kisco, New York, not sure where that is. Where are we? Zafrillis, Florida. It sounds like something that needs an antibiotic. So we got a 60-year-old male from Zafrillis, Florida.
Get him some penicillin.
in need of a prescription. Listening to the Chooping It Up podcast. Loyal listener. Send him a T-shirt, Hoop.
We don't even have T-shirts yet, man.
Get him a Choop T-shirt.
A mug?
Get him a Bormania.
You want to send him yours that you haven't worn yet?
That's a summer attire on the deck, bud. All right.
Underneath the Hawaiian shirt?
Yeah.
All right.
So that's pretty interesting. We're going to have to keep an eye on the anchor statistics because we could have some fun with that.
Yeah, and you know, the biggest statistic of all, our least listened to episode is the one that, you know, Jack Kelly was on. So, of course, we brought him back for this week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody liked the Rashid story. You know?
It was a long story. Love Jack, but every
Jack's
detail.
got a lot of oxygen in those lungs.
Photographic memory.
Right.
I'm pretty sure he told us what him and Schultz ate.
My wife, my wife and my kids make fun of me because of the way I tell stories.
Yeah.
Jack takes it to another level. Jack is an Olympic storyteller.
For the people that don't know, we also put this on YouTube. You know, that's a thing. Right. And one of the clips was your stories from, was it episode 1, where you were telling your stories about traveling, the Penn State story and the Syracuse story?
Yeah, the bus trips.
Yeah, the bus trips. That was actually Tommy's Tales from the Past. That had 18 views, man.
Nice. Am I the leader?
No, Tanner's picture debacle. But that was almost 2 hours of on YouTube watch time, but there's no video, so listen time, like 2 hours.
All right.
People listen to your stories for 2 hours.
Hey.
So you could tell your wife and daughters that.
Right.
Yeah.
Somebody's listening to my stories. They won't.
Might have been you 18 times. I'm not sure.
No. Twice maybe.
Okay. All right. So
the big week, long week, very stressful week with the tournament.
Awful.
Brackets are busted.
All over the place.
Everywhere in America.
Somehow, I picked Illinois. And we could debate. At some point, I'm going to clip in the audio of me going back and forth whether or not I need to pick a certain 8 seed that upset them or not.
Yep. And we talked you out of it.
I'm going to input that audio. But not only did I pick them to beat Loyola Chicago, I picked them to win. So my team that I have winning the championship is out, and I could still take home the Chooping It Up, whatever we want to call this, pick them. I could still somehow win this. Should I give them the
yeah, give the breakdown. Let's see.
So I went with your scoring, which I just
It's the way. Dallas, Texas. When you're our loyal listeners, please send us a message. What do you want it on Instagram?
Wherever.
Anywhere. Give us your NCAA bracket scoring breakdown. Because if anybody scores
let them know what you're talking about.
Every round equals 32 points. So in the first round, every winner you get is 1 point. In the second round, 2 points because there's 16 games.
Yeah, and
next round, 4 points.
So you can just suck. You could just mail it in.
If you pick the national champion on Monday night, April whatever, okay, that's a 32-point win.
See, well, you want to know why I don't like that?
Why?
It literally takes like no effort. You could just go chalk.
What do you mean?
You could go chalk throughout for like the
everybody's brackets are destroyed.
You could go chalk throughout on most years for the first for the first 2 rounds, and then like use your basketball breakdown, because at the end of the day it's going to shake out where you're going to get a bunch of 1 through 4 seeds, right? You're in the final 4. You're gonna no lower than a 4 seed, I don't think. Except I do
the
now.
Hoosiers did go as a 5 seed.
I do now believe that Loyola Chicago is the team to beat in the Midwest.
I heard that Loyola is on Vegas's board, the 3rd most favorite team. Like the odds are in their favor. They're number 3 behind Gonzaga and Baylor is the team to win it.
I mean, I do believe that they are the team to beat in that bracket that's left. What is it, the Midwest?
Yeah, down in the
Houston is the other team?
Yeah, Loyola and I think Houston's going to lose to Syracuse. I think Houston's in trouble.
Buddy's on fire.
Buddy Boeheim.
Buddy
is playing like GMAC right now.
GMAC's coaching him up.
There was one time Buddy hit a shot, and you had to have seen GMAC's reaction. Like he was actually just like mind blown. Threw his hands up in the air like he couldn't believe that the kid was making the buckets he was making.
But now, although Oregon State, right, that's who Loyola's playing?
Yeah.
Oregon State, I will say that they did not miss very many shots against Oklahoma State. They were making a lot of shots.
Okay.
A lot of difficult shots.
I didn't get to watch that.
So game. I don't think it was, but I sent the text right when it was early in the first half. Not going to be surprised if Oregon State wins here.
You did say that.
I don't care if Cade Cunningham's, and he played very, very well, but they were making everything.
Yep.
So, but Loyola, man, they're actually a good team. If they weren't, and I mean, they have a guy that looks like Farva. He is the leader, Farva from Super Troopers. Like you see that comparison when they put the side by side.
I'll give you this. You did come in and we did bust your chops, 100%. There's no denying it.
I'm really struggling with Illinois, Loyola, Chicago.
That's again why I'm taking the wager I'm taking.
But no, hear me.
$2 up against you.
Hear me out.
What?
Loyola Chicago still has guys that started when they made their run.
Illinois has probably the best player in the tournament.
Yeah, that's exactly my point. Like everybody,
they have probably the biggest kid in the tournament.
And they have some of the best shooters that you want around your big man.
Loyola Chicago plays good defense.
They've got 2 point guards that would start anywhere in the country.
The ones coming off the bench.
Again, when Loyola Chicago made their run, they probably played teams.
Are you being serious right now?
Yeah, I'm being dead serious, yes.
You're
also,
like messing me up mentally right now that you're even like considering this.
I hope you're just doing this for views.
No, I
really hope so.
Yeah. 24-4 at defense.
So you're
dynamite.
Really considering the one getting upset by
They made the Final Four as a 13 or 14 seed.
They're playing. Oh, I'm not.
Tell our research guy to pull the bracket from that year.
I will. I'll pull. I'm the research guy. What year was it? I don't even know. 2000.
Yeah.
I could do it.
Yeah, but they're going to beat Illinois.
Yeah.
And you said those guys that were on the team the last time they made a run, or some of them are still on the team.
Well, Crutledge, right? That's his name. He was one of them, and Williamson was another one.
And you know what? This year, I think obviously COVID has had a heavy influence in this. But you look at the teams that didn't make the tournament. Your typical blue bloods like Kentucky and Duke, right? Right now, they're your one and done type programs. They thrive on those kids. They get them in the gym probably in the summer and get to work. And Calipari and Krzyzewski do a great job of putting a product on the floor to make a sizable run. Preseason summer workouts were obviously heavily impacted by COVID. Didn't have that time in the gym. Duke lost that kid, right? The kid just up and left.
Johnson, yeah.
Yeah. Kentucky struggled. I think that was a product of that. And then.
Well, here's my thing with that, right? So I'm touching the.
Yeah, what was that?
I think it's because I'm touching things here.
Jesus.
But as a diehard Duke fan, right?
Yeah.
I hate the fact that they are a one-and-done school. Like, I hate that they're Kentucky now. Because outside of that 1 year when they had Winslow and Okafor and they had a bunch of freshmen and they won it, and they don't – they win it with, like, before that, okay, they had Shire and they had Nolan Smith and they were seniors and they had Brian Zubek was their starting center. They, like, it's okay. Like, yeah, you want them to recruit, like – those big-time guys, but I don't want 5 of them in a class. I want, like, okay, some seniors, some juniors, add. But, like, they get these. And now at Duke, it's some of these guys aren't even like, okay, Zion's gone. Yeah, you get it. But you have guys like Frank Jackson who leaves after 1 year. Like, but, and what is he, in the G League? Is he even on? Like, I mean, I know who's he play for? Does he play for the
I don't know. I'd have to.
But I think, like, as a rookie or maybe as a second year, at one point he had a good run. But, like, these are guys that shouldn't be leaving. But, again, it's like, okay, I'll go to the G League and make a couple $100,000. You know what I mean? But it's like.
Yeah. Well, I kind of hope that this is one big reset button on the college basketball game because those one-and-dones, one, I think obviously COVID impacted it. But, two, there really weren't. It's not a big class of one-and-dones. You know, you have the Suggs kid up at Gonzaga and the other one, the Cunningham kid. They're probably your two best freshmen that came in. But they're not your Zions of the world and, you know, the Kentucky one-and-dones that would come through. And then here, you know, and I go back to because this is what makes me even more disappointed, back to my Indiana roots here. Obviously, they don't make the tournament. Next, I'm hyping up the Big Ten. Everybody's talking about how good the Big Ten is. Michigan's the only one standing. They're getting throttled by people.
Little did we know the Pac-12 was
the strongest conference right now. So my problem with that, you know, it's a knife right to the chest. Is I'm sitting here going, okay, they didn't make the tournament. We had our problems internally, whatever, but the Big Ten was just too tough. They got 9 teams in. It was a deep and loaded conference. So, all right, we didn't get in. You go in, we can't even make it through 2 rounds of the bracket. So that tells me how far off, even further far off that Indiana is.
So essentially, the Big Ten was just a bunch of apparently not good teams beating up on each other, making the tournament.
Yeah, but too, like, you know, I go back to Loyola. I mean, you have a senior-led, experienced team that's X and O and people to death.
I think so. From their game against Illinois, I think they went 8 deep. I think they have a freshman, they have a sophomore, the seniors that were there on the team that made a run. And granted, we talked about it in the last episode. This was the reason you got me to look at the bracket from 2018, 17, whenever it was.
Yeah,
and you know, it kind of shook out. Like, okay, Kansas State won, and they weren't beating 1 seeds and 2 seeds. Well, this year, they knocked out Illinois.
They got Illinois.
But a team that
got my attention.
Would you think that Illinois was probably like the most picked team to win it? It had to be one of the 3 most picked teams to win the whole thing.
Yeah.
And take them out. And it wasn't just they beat them.
They pounded them. That's what I mean.
They
pounded them.
They beat them by, what, 13, 14?
Mm-hmm.
Like.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be honest. I told you when we argued and talked you out of it, Illinois's got 2 really good point guards. They've got the Miller kid that's a shooter as a freshman. They have Dosumu that's going to be a first-round draft pick. They've got Kofi Cockburn.
But what they don't have is that Final Four experience, and I feel like that gets underweighted so much. And again, like, we're going back to one and dones. Like, some of the teams that have been winning recently, look, you know, when Virginia won it a couple years ago after they got knocked out by whoever they lost to as the 1 seed, like, they didn't have a bunch of They didn't have one and done freshmen like Villanova. Like it's a nice layer of seniors, juniors, sophomores. You know?
Yeah.
Like whereas
it makes a big difference when you're trying to win 6 games, go on a 6-game run, 3 weeks in March with all the marbles on the line.
Yeah,
Stop touching them, will you?
Where's this going to?
I don't know, but you're
Oh,
buzzing.
it's the
buzzing
phone
in my
cord.
ear.
Yeah. How many do we have connected here?
Huh? It's our usual setup. What do you mean?
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm looking at the Sweet 16 here, right? Gonzaga, Creighton. Okay,
Who would have thought that? I thought Creighton was gonna. See, they're a team that surprised me. They're a 5 seed, right? So they're a higher seed. I thought they were getting bounced out by UCSB.
Yeah.
Right out of the gate, and then I mean.
So to me though, Creighton, all right, I could handle that as a Sweet 16 matchup. Yeah. USC, Oregon, we just talked about the Pac-12.
I didn't even realize it was a Pac-12 Sweet 16 matchup. Oregon, that was one that I picked. I said I wasn't.
Michigan, Florida State, that's chalk for the Sweet 16. It's going to be a great game.
For our pool, this is big for me that Florida State wins.
You have Florida State? I got Michigan.
Me and Jack both have Florida State.
Yeah, because Jack's playing. Jack's protecting himself mentally right now.
So right now we don't know Tanner's score. We don't know what it is. So if we go 32 total points per round, this is how it shakes out right now. We got Jack leading the way through 2 rounds, 38 points. We got me in second with 32. We got you bringing up the rear, 28. 28.
I think I have 29 at my house.
Yeah, you probably miscounted.
I am losing in my family. I'm in last place in my family bracket.
All right, so we'll recount these.
We're going to have to recount that because I think I have 29.
No matter where we go.
Yeah, I'm still in third.
You're in third. We don't know if you're last. We do know that Matt Tanner did pick Texas to make it to the championship. They actually did not win a game, so
Abilene Christian.
He's probably, for our Texas listeners, so he's probably in, but he does have Baylor winning it all, I believe. So he still has his team. I am the only
Texas team.
I am the only one with my championship winner out. Because I picked Illinois.
Okay.
You guys both have Baylor. You and Matt. Jack has Gonzaga.
Okay.
So what I need to happen, me and Jack both have, because that's who I'm chasing right now before I figure out what Matt has.
Yeah.
So Florida State, we both have Florida State. Need that to happen, which I think, watching Florida State.
It could.
They could. They are long. They are athletic. Then you have Florida State, Gonzaga. If Gonzaga gets through, me and Jack both have that.
You have Florida State, Gonzaga in the Final Four?
Yeah. I have Florida State taking Gonzaga out. Jack has Gonzaga. So with that 16-point margin, if Florida State makes it to the championship game, and if Baylor gets bounced in the Final Four, I'm taking this. I'm taking this $80. I'm taking it. I feel like that's a lot that I need to happen. A lot.
Where are you getting $80 from?
We all put in 20.
Yeah. Okay. So you're.
So I'm including my. Yeah, I'm winning 60.
All right.
But right now, that $20 isn't mine anymore. It's in the pool.
All right.
I don't own it anymore.
Fair enough.
So I'm getting it back.
I just wanted to make sure where your accounting was cash or accrual method. That's all. You didn't know I know those terms, did you? So anyway, UCLA, Alabama. The UCLA is kind of what we thought was going to happen, but we thought it was going to be Michigan State to make that run.
And here's the thing. For us, and I think we talked about it, and I think everyone else would be on board, I think we all picked Michigan State, and we talked about it in here. Like we're not so if Jack picked Michigan State to go to Sweet 16, it don't count. You picked Michigan State.
You picked Michigan State.
Yeah, you picked Michigan State. None of us picked you. Yeah, none of us picked UCLA.
Correct.
I think.
I like Alabama though. I'm going to be honest. I watched. I got to watch.
I did not see an Alabama game.
I didn't get to watch them play really all year. I did watch the Maryland game, hoping Maryland knocked them off, and I was really thoroughly impressed with Alabama. Like I think Alabama is going to end up being the Final Four team out of that bracket.
And that is one. So me and Jack actually. Oh, so that's where we differ. So me and Jack have Florida State, Alabama in the Elite Eight. He picked Alabama to beat them. I picked Florida State to beat.
Okay.
So that's where our.
So the scale's going to tip towards Jack.
Yeah, and then on the right side he's screwed because he had Illinois and Ohio State in it. So he was pretty much done.
So
real.
On the other side, you got Baylor Villanova.
That's
a great matchup.
That is the best game.
You know, it'd be nice to see the Gillespie kid playing for Nova, but
and
not going to happen.
Here's the thing, man. You look experience, just in terms of maybe not the kids, but you look at Jay Wright, man. There was a run where Villanova was getting to the Final Four, Elite Eight, like a lot.
Yeah, I like the break between the second round and the Sweet 16 because you get some of these guys with more than 24-hour turnaround time to scout and prepare.
Yeah.
A guy like Jay Wright could get it done against Baylor here with a couple days to prepare and get his team ready. I will say, out of that little portion of the bracket, Tanner's not here yet. I will get him when he gets here. The most proud moment I had in the Big Ten, Wisconsin.
Laying a beatdown.
23-point beatdown on North Carolina.
I think you're the only one that picked Wisconsin.
I picked it. That was one of my – if we did confidence points,
yeah,
that was one of the most confident games I would have had, Wisconsin beating North Carolina.
Would you – if we had a crystal ball and we were able to say, well, after that,
the other one was Rutgers.
Yeah.
My other confidence was Rutgers over Clemson. Yeah.
Yeah. See,
that pulled that one off too.
The thing that killed me was, I mean, I was really, really confident. Like, I thought San Diego State was like the Florida State of like that side in terms of like their length and their like athleticism and their defense. And Buddy Boeheim just came down and was like, yeah, but I'm shooting everywhere. And then San Diego State, again, I understand everyone's like, oh, yeah, this 2-3 matchup is great, but all right, I ain't a genius. I don't coach a Division I basketball team, but San Diego State was just very okay with just trying to work the ball around the outside and shooting shots, and I feel like they're not a good three-point shooting team. And they didn't even attempt to get the ball to the high post, and they could have.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they could have.
Here's the thing. That you're hitting a real sour spot for me with Syracuse because a couple years ago with Cody Zeller, Oladipo, Yogi Ferrell, Indiana was the overall #1 seed.
They get a good squad.
Really good squad. Overall #1. We're all excited. We could win a national title. Go in and play Syracuse. I believe it was in the Sweet 16. Threw the zone at us, and we looked like we had no idea what to do against the zone. And it's like same thing, like San Diego State. You talked about it, doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Who did they play in the second round? Because I watched a little bit of that game. West Virginia, same thing.
Now,
stand around, throw the ball, launch the ball.
Now, I wasn't a big West Virginia fan. I said San Diego State was going to take them out. And then even I think I might have bet Syracuse. But even when I'm like, no, West Virginia. West Virginia is one of those teams that always let you down in the tournament. They could be a 2 seed, 3 seed, don't matter. You're lucky if they make the Sweet 16. They ain't making it past that.
Right.
But the zone, I feel like, too, so you watch these basketball games, and it's not good basketball. It's like a lot of one-on-one, pick and roll, this and that, and then, all right, you throw a zone at a team, and it's like
they don't know what to do.
It's like you're going back to junior high basketball. They haven't done it in so long because it's all one-on-one, taking a bunch of dribbles, and it's
right.
So maybe Syracuse is the team to beat because I feel like they're the only team.
Yeah, well, that's jumping ahead there, but I like the Arkansas Oral Roberts. That's going to be an interesting.
Oral Roberts doing a.
That's a very, very big surprise coming out of they played really well against Ohio State. We're consistent again against Florida. Arkansas probably is the third best team that they're playing there. Though Arkansas led by Coach Musselman. Again, same thing as like Jay Wright. He's got some days to prepare and get over the whole hoopla surrounding Oral Roberts and get the business. Then you go down, you got your loyal Chicago Ramblers.
So they're
and Oregon State. That's going to be an interesting matchup. And then you got we're right back to Cuse and Houston.
Listen,
I honestly think Cuse can give Houston some fits here.
Well,
Syracuse could go to a Final Four.
Well, here's the thing with Houston.
You know that?
Houston should not still be in it. Like they had to really.
I was so disappointed Rutgers didn't get them.
They had to really like hunker down and score. Like they made a heck of a comeback.
Right.
So I said, like, this is either, like, this might light a fire under them and they might come and just beat Syracuse by double digits, or if Syracuse gets them. Either way, if Loyola Chicago wins, right, Oregon State can't win for what I'm okay. If I watch Loyola Chicago Syracuse, I'm okay with it. Like, I want to see that game.
Absolutely.
Loyola Chicago Houston, I'm okay with it. Like, either.
Yeah, I like the Syracuse contingent because I went to, I worked up there for grad school. My daughter, because she was born up there, thinks she's a diehard Orangeman for life, Orange fan for life. So I follow them from at a distance. We had football season tickets, but basketball, I'm obviously a Hoosier. I follow them at a distance because of the familiarity. And their fan base at the beginning of the year was absolutely crushing this team. They don't know how to play. Boeheim is washed up. The game's passed them by. The zone doesn't work, and they don't recruit guys that are athletic. They don't. Here they are in the Sweet 16, and the fans love them right now.
I'm telling
love
you,
them. Love that Buddy went off for two straight games, and they could end up in a Final Four.
And like we just talked about, they are the apple in a basket full of. Well, no, they're the orange in a basket full of apples here because I almost went the other way around. But here's we just talked about it. The zone. It just doesn't seem like it's not even like the zone's great.
Right.
It's just they can't figure it out. Like they don't know how to move the ball. Everyone wants to dribble.
Everybody gets stagnant. A lot of standing around. Sometimes you're going to see, and that's going to be the Houston has to. The key to the zone is to turn it over into a man situation and attack it.
And are there any teams that could shoot the lights out? I mean, that's the only way you're because a lot of these teams are just settling for jump shots.
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, Syracuse obviously is shooting.
Well, no, I'm saying against Syracuse.
Yeah, I don't see who's really.
Can you imagine
impressing me from the floor? Consistently shooting well.
An old Big East Final Four, Villanova versus Syracuse. I kind of want to see it.
Rolly Massimino against Jim Boeheim.
I kind of want to see it. No, for just our bet purposes, I need Florida State on the other side. Yeah. If Baylor wants to lose to Villanova, okay. I have Baylor in the Final Four, but I don't have them winning the championship. So if take them away from you guys, that's okay.
Right.
Well, for me, you want to describe how we're running this podcast. Maybe they figured it out. It's just been me and you in here right now. We're doing acts, like parts. Yeah. It's gonna be one.
Tanner's no longer Jake from State Farm. Now that the basketball season's over.
Yeah.
He's a big FedEx guy now.
Yeah.
So he's MIA right now. Coming on in a little bit. You're gonna head out to baseball practice, and then we're gonna get Jack to call in and finish up the show. So we're kind of in a two-part.
So it's like you're here. You're the constant.
I'm the constant.
You're the constant.
I'm the rock. Be here. I'm the rock of this podcast.
And we're gonna seamlessly blend the audio. So when I go out, it's just gonna be Tanner. Okay, we're back. Oh no, Tanner, we're actually 35 minutes into the podcast.
We should have ran this. Well, we screwed this up.
Okay.
We're on the air. We screwed it up.
No, we didn't.
We should have said, Tanner's here. He's exhausted from working and fell asleep on us. We're trying to wake him up.
He's like Joe Bohr.
Right. He took some Joe Bohr pills and can't keep his eyes open. And then we're going to finally wake him up, and then you're going to happen to fall asleep here in a little bit.
Yeah. Real quick before I bounce out, because I saw we're currently watching Northwestern looking like they're going to pull the upset over
the women's bracket.
Yeah. For the women.
My TV. What was that?
It's going out, bud.
I'm not doing well on TVs. I got to get a new one at home, and don't tell me my work one's going out on me.
But so I haven't watched much outside of the women's tournament, but I was scrolling the old social media and I saw the Caitlin Clark from Iowa getting a lot of hoopla. Like Kevin Durant being like, oh no, she belongs.
They're playing each other, right? Paige, was it Buchers? And the Clark girl, is it Iowa and UConn playing in the Sweet 16?
I don't know. That Paige Buchers girl is really good.
Yeah, that's what they were talking about, that matchup. I think that's coming up.
So I saw Kevin Durant say it, and then I'm watching these highlights from Iowa beating Kentucky, I'm like, oh my God, this girl's ridiculous.
I love the women's game, man.
Like her, but like her release is like so quick, and she's like, it's dribble like. This is ridiculous. And she's a freshman. Like, I've never it's ridiculous. Like, good for her.
Yeah.
Like, I'll watch that. If you're telling me Iowa and UConn is.
You're right. And Buchers is really, really good. Like
I've been seeing her since she's been on social media, on Instagram, whatever. Like, ESPN been hyping her up since she was in 10th grade.
Right. Yeah, my daughter's the one that actually introduced me to Buchers. And really, really good player. There's some really good players in the college game in the women's side.
Yeah. But I just wanted to get that in there before.
It was a good plug there.
Yeah.
Like it.
Big time
plug.
girls basketball coach in the area. Big time junior high girls basketball coach in the area, so I had to.
Talent sees talent, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Game recognizes game. That's the That's the apples and oranges in the bucket thing.
All right.
We got to clip that little thing. That's going to be the tagline for the Chooping It Up. They're like the apple and the oranges. Whatever the hell you just said before.
I was gonna say they were the apple in the basket of oranges, and I'm like, oh, I'm talking about Syracuse. No, they're the orange in the basket of apples. Yeah.
Great line, love it.
Yeah, but it is with that zone. They're just different. They're not okay. We're gonna play man, and
that's the wild card in the Sweet 16 coming ahead.
All right, well.
All right, Hoop.
I got to bounce.
Enjoy practice.
It's going to seem like Tanner's just coming right in after me because we're going to seamlessly
Matt,
blend
how
this
are
audio. Seamlessly.
It's about time you got here, Matt.
Hey, what's going on? Turnpike was a little backed up today.
I see that. I see that, buddy.
Yeah, it happens to the best of us.
We got our boy Hooper trying to test his talents, pulling off a smooth transition here with our situation tonight.
All right.
We have the man on the phone.
Jack?
Yeah.
Can you? Oh, there you are.
You got us?
Yeah, you got me.
We got you, buddy. We got you. How's it going?
Wow. To Hoop taught you guys well, I guess.
Well, he came in and set things up, you know.
May have left the kid right in the middle of doing a baseball drill, but it's all right.
He's got some value. We finally
found it up takes precedent over anything within Spartan athletics.
What's happening, bud?
Nothing.
No?
I'm just, this weekend I had the perfect setup, and now I'm thinking back to it. I don't think I even remember any of the games. Like there was just so many good games. Like I couldn't tell you what happened in any of them.
Yeah, I had to pull up the bracket to be honest.
There were a few good games.
I had to pull it up. We're talking Gonzaga Creighton starting off in that top left-hand corner.
You guys watching TV there or something?
There is a TV. We're watching the women's game here. Who is it? Iowa State and A&M, the women's bracket. I'll make sure I mute it here.
All the listeners at home, the 12 listeners at home, they'll be able to listen into that game.
Those guys down in Texas could probably tell us a little bit about
I'm
Texas.
Muted for you. How about the whole Texas thing? But Hoop and I went through this here in part one, so you guys could listen to it later. I won't bore everybody with it all, but you got to see some of the things in this little anchor thing that he's got us situated with. It breaks down where everybody's viewing from and stuff. The outermost search is the planets. Like it says 100% on Earth. Like where does he find this? 96% in the U.S., 38% in Texas, 30% in Philly. Or Pennsylvania, right? Texas, we're 87% of Dallas makes up our Texas contingent.
I listened to my part and only my part like 3 or 4 times, so that's
yeah. So you got the Philly.
30% from Pennsylvania.
Well, 30% of Philly, 46% of that 30% is Philadelphia. So Hoop and I chalked it up as the Jack and the other. Matt frequents Philadelphia every once in a while now these days. So.
Yep.
But
it's a good listen to on my way down.
Yeah. So the bracket, madness lived up to its.
Yes, it did. It's complete madness.
Named for 4 days, huh?
Well, here's the thing. I want all the viewers at home, and I don't know if the first part included this, but could we talk about this before we talk about the actual tournament?
Yeah.
Hoop at 10:47 a.m. on Monday said, "Yo, the Sweet 16 starts on Saturday. Let's try to get something in Wednesday or Thursday this week."
Right.
And then, like 2 hours later, texted us, goes, "Yo, I'm rooting real hard for Baylor to lose today." Right? Baylor had already played. Like, so Hoop either A, didn't know that the team he was rooting against already played, which I don't think is true because I'm pretty sure he was texting us nonstop about it on Sunday.
Right.
Or B, jumped ahead to the Elite Eight a couple hours after talking about jumped ahead to the Sweet 16 a couple hours after talking about it.
Yeah.
Like, it was like literally like the kid in math class that like raises his hand. Like, can I just move on to the next section? Yeah, sure, bud. Go ahead.
Hoop, we didn't talk about that. I definitely didn't. Hoop was too busy on his soapbox about the Illinois and Loyola matchup that we talked him out of, But he had that, and what else? He was talking a little bit about the Syracuse zone.
I don't think it's so much the zone as Buddy just going off these.
Buddy went crazy.
He's been
2
going
games.
nuts. His range is unbelievable right now.
Yeah, he's in that frame of mind right now. Anything's going in, and he's just launching, and he's
making everything right now too.
What team won the weekend?
Who won the weekend? Let's see.
So like, who's the team that like? I'm going to give you like 5 teams. When I looked at it, I was like, that was a team people were asking questions about, like, or didn't know a lot about.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 5 that like you can walk away from this weekend saying what they did was kind of impressive. So I'm going to list them.
So with nothing, not moving forward, you mean where they're sitting right now as we speak?
Sitting right now, you're like, wow, that was a team that I didn't know going into the tournament.
Right.
Probably didn't pick them. Maybe did pick them. One of those teams I did. These teams I did pick.
Okay.
But like there were question marks entering the tournament.
Yep.
And now you're sitting there saying to yourself, like, wow, they were very impressive last weekend, and they might be able to make some noise. So let me list these.
Go ahead. Who
Are
you
going
got?
5-1 or 1-5?
I'm just no particular order.
Okay.
Just teams that I noticed. I was like, ooh. 1, Loyola Chicago.
Okay.
2, Syracuse.
Fair.
3, Oregon.
Okay.
4, USC.
Right.
5, and this team coming into the tournament, a lot of doubters, including myself. But we talked about this last week on the pod. It was going to go one of 2 ways. Villanova.
I knew you were going with the Philly.
Yeah, that's
the backyard now.
Actually, I thought he was actually going to talk a little crap about his own
think
Michigan
about that
team.
List. Like Loyola, everyone's like, "Oh, that's a shame that they got Illinois in the second round. They're a good team, but they'll probably be out." And like they just completely showed Illinois up. Like they dominated that game. That wasn't like an upset.
Nope.
Like
No,
that
no,
wasn't
no.
like like that. That was like from point to finish, they were the better team.
Yeah.
Start to finish.
Right.
Yep. Just like Oregon with the pounding they put on Iowa.
Yeah.
Syracuse, like both games, pretty much controlled it from the tip. Now West Virginia made a game of it, but then like Syracuse tried to close them out. Got a little scratchy at the end, but like there was another one like coming in, like, oh, are we going to see another Boeheim run? And they are on a run right now.
Yeah.
Oregon. Go ahead.
Syracuse, Hoop and I were talking earlier, and we said Syracuse at the beginning of the year, they're struggling. And watching from a distance, Syracuse fans wanted to burn the place down. You know, Boeheim's too old. They don't have basketball players.
Right.
The zone, is a joke.
Zone.
Yeah. Here they are. They got Houston. They could give Houston some fits. And then again, I'm not discounting Loyola, but Syracuse is
Houston shouldn't even be in the Sweet 16.
No, but I'm saying Syracuse right now has a legit shot at being in the Final Four.
Yes.
Very legitimate.
You know?
And you know what? And Matt, you've definitely probably had these conversations with Coach Abda. I think back to the year that we won the district championship at Mid-Valley and we went on a run. At the end of that season, we said, okay, what do we have to do for us to be able consistently compete on the state level against these teams. And you look at Syracuse, the teams they play in the ACC are obviously good, and they get to play them constantly, right? So they kind of have things figured out, because there's a lot of teams now that you see trying to play the zone like Syracuse does, but they're not recruited to play the zone like Syracuse does. Like, they don't have the size on the back line, the guys with the huge wingspans. And so now you're getting into the tournament and you're playing them on short prep, unless like Houston this week has a little bit, but like you might not be able to get the same simulation like Syracuse. That's a huge advantage for Syracuse. Like, they just have to getting into the tournament, and then if they can get like a little hot, like Matt said,
like they are.
Yeah, right, with Buddy.
Like Boeheim's like on fire. Buddy is on fire. So now here they are, and you. It's like Jekyll and Hyde.
Uh-huh.
Right. Well, the thing about like Jekyll and Hyde, I kind of got to go off with Alabama. Their ability to shoot the three right now. They want to get at least 33s up a game.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're not hitting those threes,
I'll be honest. I haven't watched Alabama all year. I watched them against Maryland, hoping Maryland was gonna, knock them off there. And I was very, very, very impressed with Alabama.
Yeah.
I mean that. Jack, I think your Wolverines could get by Florida State. I know you're gonna hedge yourself and protect yourself and talk differently, but
tough, man.
But I really, the way I saw Alabama play the other day, like they could absolutely put it to Michigan if they're playing well. Yeah,
I think if they're hot.
I think here's a great point that you just made. Ultimately, to summarize what you just said, everything in the tournament is about matchups. And like there's certain matchups like that certain teams might be, like you look at Illinois. Illinois is a really good basketball team, but they went up against a team that matched up well in Loyola that matched up well against them. Like there's we said it last week, San Diego State, not a good three-point shooting team. Well, who do they get in the first round? They get Syracuse. And then what they proceed to do, they shot something like 42 or 44 to threes against Syracuse when they're not a good three-point shooting team.
Yeah.
So, like, now you're talking about like Michigan, to me, like, in their bracket, and, like, I'm a huge Michigan fan, obviously, but, like, I've had major concerns. Like, the LSU game the other day, like, I was worried about the way Michigan's guards matched up against LSU's like bigger and athletic guards, especially without Isaiah Livers. And like Michigan escaped, but Michigan had to make a lot of shots to escape from that. And LSU, like they were impressive with how many contested shots they hit. And I'm worried the same thing against Florida State, because Florida State's guards are huge and Michigan's not big. And then I'm worried about Alabama, because Alabama's going to stretch the floor. So like, defensively, how does Dickinson fall into all that? Like,
right.
It just wasn't. It's a bracket that when you look at, like, I was kind of rooting for Colorado to knock off Florida State.
Yeah.
Because I thought Michigan could like stretch the floor a little bit on Colorado, because Colorado really tries to pack it in, and I thought that might open things up for Dickinson. But with Florida State, like I worry about. The only thing about Florida State though is
they don't scare you scoring-wise.
Yeah, they're inconsistent scoring-wise. Now, I say this, and they'll be that team that comes out and scores like
score
95.
Yep, 92.
But, I mean, they're like we were saying about Florida State, they are huge across the board. Like, their guards are at least 6'6" and above, and their bigs are all 6'8", 6'9", and they're all athletic, and they can just get out and run on you if they can create turnovers.
Yeah, it's like – I think that's an interesting thing to look at, like how some of these rosters are assembled, like, and how they fit, like, and mesh together. And like you can't have a hodgepodge, like it kind of sometimes the team that has the most talent, they don't have the chemistry, and they're not. It's just not the right fit. You look at the kid. What's his name? Quinterly from Alabama. The guard, that's his name, Quinterly, I think. He was at Villanova, who was a 5-star recruit, and everyone at Villanova was thrilled to have him, but he didn't fit Villanova's system.
Yeah.
and then he went to Alabama and tore it up. Like, that's a huge piece.
Yeah.
The other teams that we talked about there were Oregon. Oregon, obviously, that had the unfortunate situation with VCU. But they flat out dominated Iowa.
Dominated.
Yeah.
Like, no question about it.
Yeah.
Completely. Like, Matt, you sent us the text in the group saying Oregon is blitzing Iowa right now.
Yeah.
And then USC came out and did the same exact thing to Kansas. And then another team I didn't write down was Oregon State. They're a hotter team in the country right now than Oregon State from a team that went from nowhere. Like Georgetown, we talked about, like, yeah, Georgetown's hot, but they're not going, like, we talked about that last week. Well, here, Oregon State, like, came out, surprisingly won the Pac-12 tournament, and now beat Tennessee, like, pounded Tennessee.
Right.
And then went coast to coast against Oklahoma State, who everyone was talking about.
Yeah. Who's your surprise? Who's your surprise Final Four team? Who's going to be sitting next week when we're looking at the Final Four?
Oh, good question.
Who's coming out of this mess right now?
So I think what's interesting is, like, if you read, like, some of these pundits, like, they reseed the tournament.
Yeah.
And, like, you think about it, right? Like, you can say right now, oh, like, Loyola is going to go to the Final Four, but they're an 8 seed, or Syracuse is going to go to the Final Four. They're an 11 seed. You have to ask yourself, are those teams really playing like that seed line?
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Loyola the other day, and looking at what they did, we knew they were good defensively, but offensively, I mean,
they were
Illinois. Really, really efficient.
Yep.
And I think you're right. I think Syracuse could get if Houston's an interesting matchup. I haven't watched Houston a ton this year. That kid was. I just thought Rutgers really was better than Houston the other day.
Yeah, I was disappointed. I told you that was my.
Yeah, that
was one of my picks.
That was one of the picks to go.
They had it.
Speaking of picks, how are Natalie and Madison picks doing right now against Hooper?
Listen, they're doing better than me too. I can't even bust Hooper's chops right now. I've got 4 brackets in the house, and I'm ranked number 4 right now out of the 3 females in the house.
Oh, a single guy too, the only guy in the house. Yeah, and you're the last man on the board.
Live and die with basketball, and I can't pick a freaking bracket. So I can't bust Hooper's chops. I'm in no position right now.
Well, we had a competition at school with our students. The one girl mistakenly referred to Norfolk State as Norfolk Street. Like, that was her knowledge. She's in first place.
Gotta love it.
Yep. That's the thing about this.
Like, we're like, wait, what are you saying right now? And she's like, wait, why am I saying that? She's like, what does ST stand for? I'm like, state, right? And
oh God.
Yeah, and she's like, oh man, like she said, I feel like such an idiot. Right, I think she was just trying to. She was doing some insider research, and she was just trying to make everyone doubt her.
Yeah, she was. Right. She was bluffing.
But
yeah. So.
You guys said who was your sleeper or your surprise?
Right now, I'd probably say Syracuse right now. You know, the team that is gonna. I think they're gonna be in the Final Four that no one expected to be in the Final Four. I mean, up top. I think you're gonna see Gonzaga.
Did Gonzaga prove anything else to you, like, throughout this tournament?
No, not yet.
They haven't?
No.
Here's who I'm going to go with. I'm going to argue against Tom, and I'm going to go with Oregon.
Okay.
And the only reason I say that is because Oregon likes to play a free-flowing game and they consistently, every year Dana Altman has them scoring a lot of points.
You've watched too many Pac-12 games on me. I can't even combat you.
Like, I just know from the tournament, the guy's gotten to, like, the Sweet 16 the past 3 or 4
Oh, sure.
His last 4 years.
His history.
Last 4 to 5 years. I saw on the stat line. He had something like that.
That's crazy. So he, like, I just think if it could, this could happen with USC too. Watching Gonzaga, I know like the rankings will say they're high up there defensively.
Yeah.
I just feel like if they have a bad shooting, like just that game where you feel off, or if at some point when you're undefeated, at some point, like the pressure of being undefeated starts
really building up.
76 Hoosiers.
Just like think about I think Kentucky and Wisconsin a couple years ago. No one expected Wisconsin.
Well,
but
they have,
you run into a team that
Frank the Tank.
You run into a team that just doesn't match up great against you.
Yeah.
That
Pac-12 winner could do it. Yeah, you're right. I like that. I like that threat to Gonzaga.
And then Syracuse to me is like that whole.
They got to shoot well still.
You can make a reasonable. That bottom right corner. You can make a reasonable argument for any of those teams.
Yeah.
Although I think if you're Houston, you're coming in this weekend saying we're looking the worst out of all those teams, especially with that one kid that got injured the other night.
Yeah.
The hip pointer, I believe he had too. That's not an easy injury to come back from.
Yeah, your Michigan bracket almost went complete chalk. You know, we thought I said that this is the other thing I said to Hooper. You know, UCLA is sitting there, and we talked about that game, but we thought it was going to be the flip side and be Michigan State to be able to take the run that UCLA did.
Right.
You know, but I don't think. I mean, I honestly think Alabama's going to.
There's something people keep talking about the Big Ten this, the Big Ten that. Think about how many games the Big Ten lost down the stretch.
Don't get me started. Like there were good teams and they got pounded.
But like they all lost their games within the last 2 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
Michigan State did, Purdue did, Ohio State did. Like we're like the only like Illinois like came out and they kind of got it handed to them a little bit.
Right.
Like it never felt like they were in that game.
Right.
Rutgers is another one.
Yep.
Iowa felt like they got pounded, like they got handed to them.
Yeah. Maryland Wisconsin had a heck of a first round game there.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks. You think of that if you think about that though, like
where does Indiana playing this year?
Like that's 4 or 5 teams that like could potentially
still be playing right now.
4 or 5 teams that could potentially still be in the tournament.
Right. Yeah. I will say Indiana's women just advanced to the Sweet 16, so leave me alone.
Proud of you guys.
So speaking of Indiana, I thought an interesting comment over the weekend, Tom, was when I said Porter Moser to Indiana ? You said love Porter Moser.
Yeah.
But not for IU.
Yeah.
You want?
Who was I Was I talking to you today, Tanner? When I said,
"Yep."
My problem right now.
Your whole conspiracy theory.
It's we can't talk about that. I would keep that right.
Not yet.
Yeah, that might be a heck of a story later on down the road if it works
hell of a call.
But anyway, I honestly think Jack, seriously, and why I said it is because what's missing out there, the disconnect at IU, is the culture is lost. The Indiana culture under Coach Knight is lost and quickly fading, and I think there's a huge call to make sure that doesn't die. And the problem is the fan bases were absolute lunatics, and you could bring in a Porter Moser, you know, you brought in an Archie Miller, they don't have the patience to let that outside guy come in. You can't build a program in 4 years. You know, they're calling for Archie's head in 4 years. I myself got as frustrated as I could and gave up on the guy in 4 years, knowing that you can't build that in 4 years.
The thing about Archie and Tom Crean, though, that was disappointing is both of them were able to get players.
Yeah. You know what,
they were able to get recruits that were celebrated, and then nothing happened.
Yeah. The thing I'll say is, because I listened to a couple Indiana podcasts and some things over the weekend where it was, you know, one was a really good one where it was A.J. Guyton, Kirk Haston, John Laskowski from the 70s, and then Joe Hillier from the '87 title team, and it was a really, really good and open discussion on them on what was wrong with IU and what to fix and what they wanted to see, and the thing about that was I went back and looked, like, you don't realize Tom Crean was there, I think, 10 years, and he won 2 Big Ten titles.
Didn't he have a Final Four appearance?
No, because they got knocked out. They were over Elite 8 maybe.
Oh, okay.
But they got knocked out by Syracuse to Sweet 16.
I know they had a Sweet 16 because
your Carolina trip. But then they also got knocked out by the Syracuse zone when they were the overall #1 with Zeller and Oladipo and Yogi Ferrell and those guys. Right. So Crean, I thought, was a really, case in point, he got Victor Oladipo out of DeMatha in Maryland. He was a 2-star kid, and he's an NBA All-Star caliber guy. And that was just pure development. The thing with Archie, he got, and his staff got all of the Indiana Mr. Basketballs, but again, Trace Jackson Davis still can't use his right hand, and he was a 3rd-team All-American. Like there's no skill development, and it never got
any better.
Came to fruition. Yeah, under his guidance, and I think like these guys had said, it's more of a culture issue. They're not worried about the 5-star guys, the 4-star guys. Like, come in and get your role guys. Come in and be what Coach Knight brought in.
Okay.
He got that one guy, that 1 star typically. You had your Calbert Cheney, but then he had 2 guys that could set screens and play defense.
Right.
Guys that could pass the ball, guys that could just play the game. And that's what
then
won
play
them.
Off of him almost
right. That's what won at Indiana. Right. And so I don't think the fan base is going to give a guy like like Porter the opportunity to or the time that he needs before they're throwing him on the hot seat, where they, like, these guys, I kind of felt it, like I said, I want to see an IU guy. If it wasn't like a Brad Stevens. So when it's an IU guy, it's got to be somebody that's bigger than the fan base, where the fan base thinks this guy walks on water, to allow him to be patient and build the thing.
But the thing is, though, are those IU guys prepared to do that?
Right. I don't know. That's the question. Absolutely.
And like I'm going to give you a guy, right? And we kind of talked about it last week. But in my head, if I was IU right now, and looking at my options and looking at what you just said, the guy I would reach out to is John Beilein. And I'm going to tell you why.
Yeah, go ahead.
Because, one, he's a guy that you look at, he's put at Michigan, I think 11 of his players went to the NBA at Michigan, and none of them were McDonald's All-American, and he had none that were more than a 3-star recruit.
Yeah,
right?
and
there might have been 1 4-star.
Right.
I think Tim Hardaway might have been a 4-star, or Glenn Robinson, one of those 2 might have been a 4-star.
Yeah.
So now we look at that, right? We talk about the culture thing. You're never going to have at its heart, you're going to have that the integrity, right, of a program. He across the NCAA, he's viewed as a coach with the highest integrity.
Right.
2 or 3, I guess it would be. I feel like that would be a brand of basketball that IU fans would be very into.
Yeah.
Because Indiana's a state that is a rich state basketball-wise, and they want basketball played in a certain way.
The right way. Correct.
And he brings that to the table. The only thing missing there is the connections to IU.
Yeah.
And with that too is because of some of those recruiting things, it might take a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And the last thing is too, I don't know who he would bring as a staff, because his guys were Wall Jordan. Wall Jordan's at Butler.
Yep.
Jeff Meyer was always an assistant with him. He just retired from Butler. Ucla Alabama, the last 2 years when Michigan wasn't as great offensively, better defensively. You get Luke Yaklich is now the head coach
Jack.
at
I'm going to give you
Chicago.
some credit right now, bud. Your ability to name call these guys,
yeah,
unbelievable.
I thought he sneezed. I was going to tell him, God bless you. I thought he
Daddy
sneezed at that one.
Holy smokes,
Michigan.
man.
So,
Yeah. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you, because it's interesting that you brought up his name. And I know it's, I know it probably has nothing to do because you're a homer with Michigan. But but in this virtual Zoom roundtable discussion that these guys spoke about, right, Beilein's name came up. And the one thing that they all were satisfied in, if Beilein were the guy, the concern is his age, naturally, and how long is he going to be there, and how much longer does he have to coach at that level?
Does he really have? Right.
However, he'd be the perfect guy to bring in your IU guys as staff.
I was
kind
of
let
them
run
and pass the baton.
Right.
You know,
I was just going to say that.
And they basically went and they used the Michigan example of Phil in the opposite manner, where Juwan is coaching at Michigan, but he's got Phil Martelli as his lead assistant to be his mentor.
Right.
Where now you bring in Beilein as the head guy to be a mentor for, maybe a Dane Fife or a Calbert Chaney or one of these, Michael Lewis at UCLA, one of these IU guys, to be able to let the young guys bring back the culture,
right,
and him steer the ship a little bit for a couple years, and get things right.
And I think the biggest thing, there's so much that goes into coaching, and there's so much that these coaches are under, but they have those things that they're good at, and they have those things. Every coach does.
Yeah.
Right? Every single coach in the world. And you hope that there's obviously a lot more good than bad. I think when Juwan Howard came to Michigan, everyone knew that he was probably going to be a pretty decent recruiter. People, I don't think, understood the credit he would – I don't think they understood how good he would be as a person that's capable of making in-game adjustments. And you just watch after timeouts with Michigan, they do an amazing job of getting getting buckets. But you look at, part of that's the Eric Spoelstra influence,
right?
Part of that's the playing experience, but also a huge part of that is Phil Martelli and
yes.
And then you look at Sadie Washington's a carryover from the Beilein staff. So you kind of have that blend, that transition. And it obviously, it takes a village to create a successful program. It's not just one guy doing it alone. So I think what you're saying there, would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And I think it would probably – it would probably energize the base a little bit, but you're right. It would probably buy some time for some of these guys because, in my head, when we were talking about this, and I kept saying, "Oh, let's talk about this on the pod."
Yeah.
What I'd hate to see at any program, and I was worried about Juwan Howard with this, is a person that's highly revered, if you will, at a school, coming back and taking over the program and then it not being successul.
Yeah.
And then how are they viewed then? Look at Chris Mullen.
Look at John. Look at your boy John Harbaugh on the football side.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah, absolutely.
Look
at Kevin Ollie at Connecticut.
Yeah.
There's something to be said that
there's a lot of pressure going back home.
Yeah, a lot of pressure going back home. All coaches weren't great players. All players aren't necessarily going to be great players. There's just a lot that goes into it,
right.
And there's a lot of bad luck that can happen.
Yeah,
you don't if there are injuries or there's this or there's that, but eventually, as a whole, you have to try to figure out who's going to be the best fit for us, and that's a guy that in my head, I hope he doesn't go there because I like how he's kind of been an ambassador for Michigan.
Yeah,
that role, and I think he would do a good job there. But to me, that's a hire that makes a lot of sense when you're really looking around, and it's okay, like I understand. I think Porter Moser is going to stay at Loyola and try to kind of make like a Mark Fear type thing going on there, because like there's no sense in him like that's what happens is like you get some of these guys. The only real tie he has there is he's already in the Midwest.
Yeah, they're putting his name on their floor one day.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's Porter Moser floor.
Right.
Or Porter Moser court.
Porter Moser and Sister Jean.
Yeah,
like
Sister Jean Arena.
Two of them guys, it's been great talking to you, though, but I have to help educate one of the youth in the contract school district with a little tutoring session.
That's why you're one of the best, Jack.
Jack, God bless, bud. It's always a pleasure.
But I'm going to say we got a great weekend of basketball coming up.
Well, Hooper didn't even know it was this weekend, so you better remind him. Shoot him a text and remind him that it's happening.
We got to text him the schedule.
Yeah.
He just wants to know when are we doing the next show.
That's all he's worried about.
Yeah.
Surprised he didn't hop in
tomorrow.
Heading into
what
the
channel is this on? He's gonna be saying what channel is this on. He's gonna be tuning on to ESPN. I'm surprised he even filled out the right bracket.
God love him.
He's going to be asking what time's Duke's playing or something like that.
Yeah. Did the NIT bracket.
The NIT.
All right, brother.
All right. I'll see you.
Take it easy, pal.
Have a good weekend.
You too.
Buddy. And I look forward to recapping this weekend with you guys.
Yes, sir.
There's my guy.
Invited myself back.
Yep. You'll be back in
All right,
for the Final Four. See ya.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Can he talk or can he talk?
Can
he talk or can how does he breathe? When does he breathe?
There's, there's people that you talk to and you're confident in your knowledge base in particular areas, and
his ability.
But there's certain guys and girls that you talk to that
above and beyond.
They just talking above you.
Yeah.
They just make you feel 2 inches
I'm
tall.
hearing him talk about all these coaches and where they're from, where they're going, where they're at right now, and I'm just like, bud, I know one guy at UNC, Roy. That's it. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Anybody else? No.
Yeah.
I care about the guys he's bringing in, what he's doing with the team. I don't care who's on the staff.
I know.
He can tell you where he's at, where he's
went,
been, how long he's been doing it.
Yeah.
And I love it. Like that.
Yeah.
Not many people can do that or take the time to study the game like that.
Right. Right.
So I got to give him credit where credit's due.
Yeah, I can't keep track of it. Like, again, the only ones that I could do that kind of stuff with are the guys that I knew while I was out at IU, and I still have a hard time keeping up with where they're at, and who went on what staff and who's coaching where now, and is he still there? How did he do this year? I don't know.
I couldn't tell you.
But Jack knows them all.
I can tell you where they're at right now.
Right.
That's the more impressive part.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm surprised Hoop hasn't stopped in.
I know he's got to be jonesing.
He's got to be itching right now. I don't wonder what they're talking about.
He was a riot today. He was a riot earlier.
Oh man.
He was on his game today.
Was he?
Yeah.
He did his research?
Yeah. Well.
Okay. Did I get a little crazy?
Yeah. We went on about that anchor thing and the statistics.
Oh, okay.
Got into the bracket a little bit, and going on about, of course, Loyola. So.
Have you been watching any of the girls bracket at all for the most part, or you just kind of turned it on today?
No, not too much. Yeah, just the last couple days.
There's supposed to be a pretty big matchup with UConn and
Hooper brought it up.
Yeah.
I saw the graphic. The girl with Iowa. I didn't even know the girl from Iowa until earlier today.
A walking bucket.
Yeah.
Pulls up from everywhere. Like one of the most pure scorer I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. Like
I haven't seen her play yet.
Like makes it look effortless.
Yeah.
Like anywhere. Like 3 mid-range going to the basket. There's not many flaws to her game. I kind of wish she got more people involved. Just me being like a nitpicker.
I gotcha.
But her ability to score the basketball is bar none.
Yeah, I gotta find out when that game is. That UConn Iowa game.
And I haven't really watched that freshman Paige.
Bukers.
I heard she is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, I've only watched her play once, maybe twice. But
she affects the games in
so
many ways.
Yeah, that's like it's almost a national title game
Yeah.
Or maybe a Final Four matchup. That might
Absolutely,
be exaggerating.
Right.
But in the Sweet 16 on the women's side.
Definitely have to pay more attention to this, though.
Yeah, and when Hooper brought that up, and I had said like, there's a lot of good basketball players on the women's side.
Right.
It's a great game. I did that Lackawanna game.
Yeah, you were telling me.
Just the women's game itself is so much better than the guys.
Yeah.
Because you have 4 10-minute quarters.
Yes.
The bonus situation, right?
Does it change after every quarter, too?
After every quarter.
Oh, it's perfect.
Right? So on the 5th foul, it's automatic 2 shots. There's no 1-on-1 at 7.
Wow.
It's automatic 2,
wow.
right? So the flow of the game isn't interrupted.
Right.
Right? You call a timeout, just like the NBA. It's the NBA rule. You call the timeout in a full court, you have the option to take the ball at half court.
If you didn't take that dribble or
right, if you haven't advanced the ball.
Right. I like that a lot.
Why isn't it going on in the guys' game?
Why are they still doing halves in the guys' game? Why have they never switched over? That's a big question.
I don't know.
I feel like.
They tried I think it was the NIT. They tried, their experimental rules, and what they did was they kept the 20-minute half.
Yeah.
But they went with 5 fouls in the first 10 minutes would get you to the line for
bonus?
double bonus,
Okay.
right? At the 10-minute mark,
wipe
it out even while it's playing,
oh, wow.
right? And then restart
after
up to
10,
5.
And then you get that 5 again.
And I liked it a lot. Like I thought it did a really good things for the flow of the game.
Right.
It didn't turn into free throw contests.
Yeah, right.
And slow things down. But they've never. I don't know if they're stuck in their ways with the media timeout every 4. But I think you could.
It's all about that money.
Right.
It's all about that money.
I mean, I think you could still break that up and, at the end of the under 6 timeout in the first and under 2 timeout, you got the end of the quarter. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think you could still, go under 5.
Yeah. Right.
Have a media timeout at the 5-minute mark of each quarter. You still got to
maybe run it an extra 15 seconds or just something like that.
Right.
Where you can kind of make
you got
up
the
for
end
it.
of the quarter to use there.
Right.
I don't know. I just think there's a lot of things going on in the women's game that
the guys
need to catch up.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can't keep running around just being, playing the stronger, faster, upspeed card on the women all the time. You know, it's just not. And really, when you go back to what I really, really love about the women's game, because of, obviously there's physical difference between the men and the women. The women's game, pure basketball. And you want to see sets run.
You're going straight schemes
and executed.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's not we're going to be able to just throw the ball out. We're going to be more athletic, jump
right.
higher, run faster.
You know,
like
and
that.
You're going to get those where UConn is going to go blow somebody out, and they're able to do that.
Well, right,
you know, but
when you have UConn going against
but all things
Stanford right now or South Carolina, that could just match them for 1 through 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's what can I run to beat you?
Right. I think there's a lot better coaches,
right,
because of that on the women's side than the guys.
Well, I think Gino kind of had to adjust his game a little bit because he wasn't able to out-recruit everybody just like he was. Now all of a sudden, not saying he wasn't a good coach, but for the longest time, he was getting the top 6 maybe.
You could almost see. I'd almost make the case like Gino at UConn is like John Wooden at UCLA.
Yes.
Right?
Their ability to
the women's game was at that point back then, let's say.
Yes.
But now we're starting to get into the 80s and 90s of the guys' game.
Yeah.
Where South Carolina's getting a couple.
Oregon, Baylor.
Right.
Yeah.
Louisville's up there in the mix all the time. You know, the talent is they're starting to get that parity.
Right.
Again, it's still, you might have I wouldn't even say the tournament. You're probably in the top 50.
Yeah, right.
And then there's a big drop off after 50.
Yeah.
But I think it's only a matter of time
before it kind of starts spreading all around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the thing that, as I've gotten involved in the administrative side, and you got the Title IX thing going on, and the mess the NCAA got themselves into with the
whole
weight room.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah,
came home and Gabe asked me. I was like, "What are you talking about?" And I went right to ESPN. And I was like, "Whoa!" I was like, "This is
not good.
Bad.
Not good." Right.
There's a lawsuit and a half.
And Dawn Staley really came at the NCAA with that letter and statement that she put out, and
she's been a good ambassador for the game too.
Yeah, and the thing, then I saw a friend of mine on Facebook. They put up there's a graphic about Sue Bird versus LeBron, right?
The years,
championships,
MVPs,
all that kind of stuff.
That, yeah.
Except the difference was the pay scale,
right?
And again, you understand the guys everybody's watching. Just like this, we didn't pay attention to the women's game until now because the guys aren't playing.
Right.
Call
a spade a spade.
Right.
Yeah.
So. But as this gets deeper, we're going to start watching a lot more because it's going to be really, really high quality basketball. And it's no different with the WNBA. The problem I have isn't so much that there's the pay gap and the pay discrepancy because, sure, there's a lot more money coming into the NBA than the WNBA.
Right.
However, where I think they've dropped the ball is why aren't you letting the women play during basketball season?
Right.
You're not letting them play during the traditional basketball season. So
you're saying okay, for example, NBA plays primetime on Wednesday nights on ESPN and Thursdays on TNT.
Right, in January and February.
Right. So I'm saying if you can almost put WNBA on TNT or ESPN on a Monday, Friday, or something like that, where they're kind of still getting
yes,
your NBA fans gonna be all right, I can't watch the guys right now,
but the women are on
national television unless you have the NBA ticket or something like that. The women are on exactly, so now you're gonna watch it.
And I'm not even saying you have to match them ESPN for ESPN.
Not saying that,
you could put them on ESPN too, like this stuff here now.
Yeah, right.
But my problem is you got March Madness going on right now, right? So we're watching the guys, right? The Final Four, all that. The bracket's going to wind down. We're going to go right into the NBA, the home stretch of the NBA season.
Right. So now you're
going to
get
into the
finals.
NBA playoffs and then the finals, right? And then the weather's nice. If you're a baseball guy, okay.
I don't know how you watch baseball on TV.
But none of us are now glued to the couch.
Right.
Because we're out doing things. We're going on vacation. We're
going to the pool.
While all that stuff's going on, the women are playing on TV in June and July.
Right.
And I just don't think you're going to get the revenue opportunity to then be able to pay the women down the road with that when they're playing in June and July. Let them start their season in November. Play out until, I don't know. I mean, it's an abbreviated season compared to the guys already, so they're not playing as many games, which is another, potential issue. But, all right, keep the season the same length, but let them go November to February.
Right.
Something, to put them in that
time frame of basketball season.
Yeah, and then if you don't want to take that gamble, you put them on an ESPNU or the Fox Sports channels or stuff like that, where you could kind of just gauge and see what kind of spectator, or viewership you're going to get, and if you're getting people to watch, naturally they're going to pull the money, and then they pull the money, they're going to get paid.
Right.
But you can't. I just don't think you could do it with them playing a summer league schedule. I think that's the biggest slap in the face to the women.
An uphill battle at that point.
Yeah.
Right. I think it kind of hurts, too, God rest his soul, when Kobe kind of had his old thing, because he was such an ambassador of the WNBA and NBA or female basketball.
Right.
When Gigi was coming up and saying, you guys are missing out on
great basketball right
there's
now. A guy that would have been able to infuse a ton of cash.
A lot of money.
Right.
He would have had.
Who's not going to do something for their daughter?
Right. And who doesn't have a big enough pull in NBA basketball or basketball in general?
Right.
As Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, and in business. I mean, if you get Kobe to embrace that thing.
To sponsor it in any
way,
shape, or form.
You're going to find a couple other guys with a heck of a lot of cash to take
You're
the
telling me if
endeavor
LeBron
on
James' daughter played any type of basketball,
right,
he doesn't want to get into it now too, and now you have Kobe Bryant, LeBron James endorsing your season in a sense.
Yeah, that in itself was that's probably I don't want to say it's the biggest loss, but I do want to say that's the biggest loss of basketball had on Kobe moving forward with his career. Was the women's game.
His life after basketball.
Yeah.
And you already made such an impact in the game. Now how does he affect it after not playing, right?
Yeah.
But I would have loved to seen like the things he could have built for them and what Gigi could have did. Because she looked like she was...
Yeah, she was ready to
He was already giving her the blueprint, all the fundamentals, the footwork, how to shoot it like when you're off balance, get your shoulder square. Like, she looked like she could have beat a lot of dudes that were playing D1 already.
Yeah.
Just because of her fundamentals alone.
Right. Like that video you sent Scalabrini playing that high school kid.
I don't think people understand. They don't.
No.
There's a guy that's 12th on the bench that could walk into a gym right now. Let's say Loyola, Marymount.
Right.
That 12th dude's probably going to put up 40. He's putting up 40. There's a reason he's in the NBA.
Yeah.
And these guys don't get enough credit for it. Yeah, they might not be playing, but that's how much better.
That's how athletic and skilled the top guys in the league are.
Exactly. Like, that's how much better they are. And those guys that are on 12th bench are still that much better than you.
Yes, and that's what drives me nuts about guys that trash on the NBA game. Is the NBA is set up? You can't play help defense. There's very minimal. So who in their right mind on the planet, one-on-one, can guard any of these guys with the ball? It don't matter.
Kyrie, he's already unguardable as it is.
Yeah, you're not. You can't play him one-on-one.
No,
it's over.
No, James Harden. These guys are, and you can't hand check like you were able to.
Right.
So you can't. They're already having a head start on you, and they're getting. People want to see a score. So the game's built for people to score right now.
Yep.
So why are you thinking like it's gonna be any type of game where you can't sit in the paint, and you can't really defer a guy from going to the paint?
And that's where I like the NBA, and I get the argument because sometimes I do get bored with it.
Yeah.
Because they're so good at it. They're playing it as perfect as you can.
Right.
Where in the college game, these kids are screwing it up left and right. Which
they're figuring it out.
Yeah, which makes it that much more exciting. No different than watching a high school game.
Right.
They're screwing it up a heck of a lot more than the college kids. And that's what makes it interesting to watch.
So exciting, right?
You have to watch who's going to make the least amount of mistakes.
Right.
And how is a coach or anybody running a program, how do you get those kids at that level to minimize those mistakes?
Right.
So I get that part of it, but to sit there and say they don't play defense, this guy can't play defense, the game's not built to allow him to play defense.
Right.
How many guys are really, really, really good on ball defenders at that level?
You have to be very lateral, quick. Yeah. Great anticipation. You got to be long. Like Kawhi's honestly the perfect defender right now just because of his length.
Right. He chews up space.
Right. Giannis too because he chews up space too. Like their ability to just be away from you but still close to you in that sense where they kind of just mess with you. You know what I mean? Ben Simmons right now, he might be defender of the year.
Yeah.
No jump shot, but man, he can guard and pass like no other in the league right now.
Right. But again, that's gonna develop. The kid. You're gonna see that how many years is he in the league?
I think this is third, fourth league, maybe fifth.
Right. So I mean, I'm not gonna say he's got the
shoot, but I just don't like the fact that he chooses not to shoot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that way, I think it hurts him. Like if he chose to shoot a little bit more, I think that would open more things up for him. I think that's what hurts him.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I mean, like you said, it'll develop.
Right. Yeah, he's a guy that you could get to the rim. He's got the skill set. If the only thing he's lacking is a jump shot,
and he's still averaging almost 18,
he's gonna be all right
with no jump shot.
Right.
In today's league, that's predicated on jump shot.
Stretch the floor and shoot the ball. Yeah. So I think you're gonna see him because he's not a kid that's gonna all of a sudden fade out in year 6 and never play in the league and so he's here for the foreseeable future. If he plays another 10 years, he's going to be 10 years from now. You're going to look back and forget that he couldn't shoot the ball.
You're gonna be making jokes that he couldn't shoot the ball.
Yeah.
Right.
You
Do
know?
you think the Knicks are making that turn right now for you?
I don't know.
They gave my Sixers a hard time that other night.
They're winning some games. Now, it kind of goes back to the discussion there in Indiana. I think it all comes down to any program, but they're starting to kind of get a little culture built for themselves.
Tips has got them going.
Yeah, and it's one of those, like, I want to start to get excited, but I'm a Knicks fan.
As soon as you get excited.
The last 20 years, right. You're waiting for that shoe to drop,
I'll tell you what, like you said, culture. I think Doc kind of changed that whole culture with the Sixers. Not to go back to, but
right.
like with Brett, it just didn't seem like they had that
he was a good coach. He was a good, like, he knew the game, but he didn't have that.
You know what
that
I mean?
Moxie.
Yeah.
Doc
has that it. Like, like, you guys better listen or like you're out.
Right.
And I think they kind of built in, like, or listened in, or kind of got into that.
Yeah. I think too. Like Jack said too. You got good players. Don't necessarily mean they're going to be good coaches.
Yeah.
And vice versa. But when you get a guy like Doc, they're the guy. He's a point guard. How does he not look at Steve Kerr? Like, these guys that, Jordan, it didn't work out.
Jordan was a freak.
But Jordan is a guy that, like, that's why I think Kobe would be such a good coach, because Kobe was naturally gifted.
But he was also fundamental.
But he was fundamentally sound.
And he knew where you need to be when you need to be
there.
Like
Like
we were talking about, he had his show on ESPN Plus. What was it called? We used to talk about it all the time.
Oh yeah. Wow.
It was like almost like Peyton Manning's.
It was breaking down.
But anyway, like, going off of that, like, he was saying, like, a guy is driving, like, you're too high in the corner right now. You need to. He liked to call it shimmying down. Like, he knew where you need to be and when you need to be there, and exactly what you were saying. He knew the X's and O's.
The thing that would kill Kobe is he wouldn't be able to tolerate guys not wanting to work.
Yeah.
That's where his downfall would be, is that would drive him nuts and run guys out of the gym, and that, if he couldn't control that part of it, that would be his wild card on being a successful coach.
You're not going to stay after. You're not going to come in early. Like, what do you think? How you think you're going to win a championship?
Yeah, so and I think, not that Jordan wasn't fundamental, that he wasn't, Jordan was Jordan, but I think Kobe had that.
I think he could relate.
Jordan was the better athlete.
Yeah.
Right, in his prime. Kobe was pushing the needle there, but I think Kobe to me is the best basketball player.
Okay.
Like, the game fundamentally.
Yeah.
He had his footwork, you just couldn't. You'd have a hard time arguing me or convincing me that somebody played the game better fundamentally at that high level than Kobe.
Yeah.
Where LeBron, I think he's the best all-around basketball player the game's ever seen. I mean, he played 1 through 5, hands down. Well, he's in the argument for top 5
scoring, assists
at every position.
And he might be top 10 in rebounding, maybe. I don't know if he's going to go top 10 rebounding, but, like, he's going to be the #1 scorer.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be top 5 in assists. He might be let's say top 20 in rebounds.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Right.
Just statistically alone.
Yeah. But
unbelievable.
And he doesn't spend a ton of time in the post.
Right.
But his post game is, if he was stuck as a 5, he'd be a top 5 post in the game all time. Nobody else could say that. Kobe got into the post and but he couldn't. He
couldn't stay in the post.
He didn't have LeBron's strength
or size.
Right.
Yeah.
So LeBron has all of that. I don't think, LeBron's driven and all that stuff, but I don't think he doesn't have the mentality that Kobe and Jordan had. So they're all great. They're just different in their own ways. But I think, like, going back, a guy like Doc, who wasn't overly skilled, he wasn't overly talented, he had to be much more cerebral when he played, which is now putting him in a perfect spot to be that guy to walk into the locker room and go, you better listen to me.
Yeah.
Where, Brett didn't have that.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
it's a different feel to those guys. You know, like Pop is sending out assistant coaches left and right. You know, but they're not that like.
They don't have that pop.
Yes, it's not gonna.
Yeah.
It's not like whoa. Stop everything. This guy just walked into the room.
Yeah, right.
You know, and that's what I think Brown was missing with those guys. That Doc is able to come in and set that, and get them moving in the direction they need to. And on top of it, I mean, he's won. He won with the Celtics. He did very well with the Clippers, so he's already established himself as a coach.
Do you think Steve Nash has that yet with the Nets, or he still has to?
Nah, I think Nash has.
He's kind of been handed the keys of the Mercedes though too with KD, James,
right,
and Kyrie.
Yeah, so I mean that's one of those things like don't screw this up.
Yeah, right.
You're almost there's a lot of pressure on him there because it's one of those like, hey, bud, if you can't win with these guys,
how are you gonna win?
Who are you gonna win with?
Right.
But I think Nash, like, he fits that mold of the cerebral point guard.
Mm-hmm.
But there were a ton of things in the vision that Nash had
that was just naturally gifted. Like
you
can't teach somebody else.
And I don't think, and that's the part I don't know if he can relate to the, I'm going to say the average NBA player, but put to those guys to say like, how did you not see? That was a perfect opportunity to throw
have him open right
a pass between your legs, backwards, around. Like that's just the thing Nash did. That it just wasn't. You can't put that into somebody, or to expect somebody to be able to do that on the floor because you were unique to that.
It's going to take a few years for you to like teach them, break it down in film.
Like Jason Kidd,
like that.
I mean,
another guy.
Kidd played like that, not to the level Nash did, but he was comparative a little bit. They were kind of a similar mold, and and Kidd really hasn't gotten.
Well, now he's assistant to Frank Vogel, I believe, with the Lakers.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's kind of in a good spot there where he doesn't have to lead.
But again, and this is where it goes back. Like we're talking like Jason Kidd's not a good basketball coach. Like that's how good of coaches there are at that level.
Right.
These guys, they know a ton of basketball, and that's one of the arguments circling back to the Indiana thing was Indiana doesn't have that. Whoa, he's our guy. He's one of Coach Knight's guys, and he's going to be a coach to that level, right? There's no that like the immediate we got to get this guy.
Knight. Let's just say he was at Kansas for the last 7 years. Like he's won games. Like he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah,
now.
We don't have that high echelon guy, but there's a bunch of guys that are just quality coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And AJ Guyton and the one thing I listened to, like they were talking about Calbert Chaney. Calbert was all Big Ten. He's the Big Ten's leading scorer in conference history.
Oh, wow.
He was an All-American. He played 4 years under Coach Knight. Like, you don't think he learned anything? You know what I mean? Like, and again, it goes back to the way Coach Knight won. Like, I look and even just a little bit that I was exposed to was just a fraction of the time these guys that played under him or coached under him got. And it blows my mind the amount of basketball I learned in that little bit of time.
Yeah.
So how can you tell me when you lived, eat, breathe, sleep basketball under him and played for him that you're not qualified to coach?
Yeah.
Because you weren't that big head coach. So and that's the thing that Archie Miller brought Calbert Chaney back to the staff, but put him as the director of basketball operations. And like Guyton and those guys said, it's a slap in the face.
Yeah.
That's bringing that's just not giving him the respect that he deserves when he's coming back to his alma mater and he's the director of basketball operations. He can't technically even coach on the floor.
Yeah.
And you're giving away like
you just brought him just because of his name. You're not really doing it because you want him there.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those like that. That's the thing that gets lost in all that is how good those guys are, and we're still sitting there nitpicking it.
Yeah, right.
He can't get it going.
Yeah.
Who does? You don't have a guy like Popovich that comes around. Like he's a special guy.
Yeah.
He didn't play. He's a born coach. That's how he got into the game. He just grinded coaching.
Spoelstra.
Right.
Started off as a video assistant or whatever.
Yeah, and how many guys are bashing him because they're just he's Riley's puppet for all those years.
Right.
You know, the only he's just Riley's boy, and if it weren't for Riley, he wouldn't have. And that might be true to a degree.
But then he kind of put that on.
But he's earned it now.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of the best.
I think kind of last year. No, not last year. But, last year kind of put him over the top of out of Riley's shadow though.
Yeah.
Like his ability to in-game changes.
Right.
Out of timeouts.
Right.
We're gonna score right here. Come out, get a score. His management of the game, all that.
Yeah. But then it's too. He was given the patience to grow, develop, and and Riley gave that to him, and now he's able to.
I mean, it kind of helped when he had LeBron, D-Wade, and Bosh for
to get you through those growing pains, right?
Yeah, right. But in the same sense, a lot of those times he was probably trying things and oh, this works, let's keep it rolling, or this doesn't work, we're scratching that.
Right.
And I think it helped being that guy in the film room, breaking down film for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah.
That's just natural to him now. That's easy work for him.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. All right, brother. Good talk.
Man. Great talk.
That was a really
Great
good
talk.
one there.
Yeah, I love that.
Cooper's gonna be mad. Cooper's gonna be mad listening to this one.
He's gonna be, I missed all this.
Yeah.
Well, Hoop,
all right.
Go to baseball.
Yep. You had things to do, so we're probably gonna be back. I'm sure he'll be busting us to get back on the pod here for
probably see you Monday, maybe
going into
Tuesday.
the Final Four. So because it's Saturday, Sunday, Sweet 16, Saturday, Sunday. They're playing
Monday.
the Elite Monday, Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
Elite
They're
8.
doing it that way?
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is kind of interesting. I like, so you got the weekend. We're going to play out all these Sweet 16 games. You're going to go Monday.
So
it's going to be a 7 o'clock game, a 9 o'clock game.
Wow, they really
on Monday
do film.
and Tuesday. Right. So, but you're still playing a Final Four on Saturday.
Ooh.
Because it's Saturday, Monday, your traditional schedule for the final weekend. So we're going to have to figure out, we got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to figure out what we're doing.
Jack better figure out his tutoring schedule real quick.
Yeah, you're on notice, Kelly. Take care of it.
I think that's how we end it.
Absolutely. Take it easy, buddy.
Been good.
See ya.